Today is Wednesday in the 29th week in Ordinary Time. It's also the celebration of two martyrs, both Filipino, who in their own way, in their own time, served the church and gave their lives for the gospel. Our gospel today is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be sure of this. If the master of the house had known the hour when the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." Then Peter said, "Lord, is this parable meant for us or for everyone?" And the Lord replied, "Who then is the faithful and prudent steward whom the master will put in charge of his servants to distribute the food allowance at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master on arrival finds doing so. Truly I say to you, he will put him in charge of all his property. But if that servant says to himself, 'My master is delaying in coming,' and begins to beat the men servants and the maidservants, to eat and drink and get drunk, then that servant's master will come at an unexpected hour and will punish the servant severely and assign him a place with the unfaithful. That servant who knew his master's will but did not make preparations nor act in accordance with his will shall be beaten severely. And the servant who was ignorant of his master's will but acted in a way deserving of a severe beating shall be beaten only lightly. Much will be required of the person entrusted with much, and still more will be demanded of the person entrusted with more." Today's parable was addressed primarily to stewards, to leaders within the church. It was a call for them to be faithful to their ministry in spite of the reality that the Lord's coming was delayed. But for us in our own time, I think our last line is the line that should touch each of us. Much will be required of the person entrusted with much, and still more will be demanded of the person entrusted with more. With what have we been entrusted? Certainly some of us have been given the grace of financial security, but we've also been given the gift of our education, given the gift of good upbringing, given good health, given also intelligence, given leisure. With all of these gifts that we have received, the question that we must ask ourselves is, how have we used all of the gifts that we have been entrusted with? What we've been entrusted with is not simply for ourselves, but gifts that are meant to be shared. So today we hear this gospel. Let us ask ourselves then, what is it that the Lord is asking of us? How can we use the gifts with which we've been entrusted to be able to further the kingdom?